Bigfoot Club, Episode 8. I am your host, Robert Jesse Dominguez, and with me is...
Christopher Lee Colleps.
Is that too loud?
No, okay. Sounds perfect.
And also...
Ash.
Right on. So we got 2 shows back to back.
Amazing.
We're butter on the roll. Sorry. So
butter on a roll.
How you guys doing?
We're like cinnamon butter from Texas Roadhouse. That's what we are.
Cinnabuns? You talking about?
No. The butter at Texas Roadhouse.
Oh yeah.
It's like cinnamon honey butter.
Oh okay, yeah. Too sweet.
Oh, it's too sweet. So good.
You guys have any?
I just really off topic of what we talk about on this podcast, but we were kind of talking about it earlier today. I'm going to throw in a little Scott Stapp shout out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, from Creed. I used to love Creed. Like, if you go back into my,
Used to?
Teenage days. Well, I mean, I still like Creed, but
yeah.
I used to love them. Like, they used to be, one of my favorites. Back, they echo in my, teenage years.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool to see an interview with him back in July of this year. And I didn't even know he came out with new music.
Yeah, I didn't know either until you told me.
Yeah, and
You told me what, on Friday?
Yeah, on Friday. I was looking up. I was actually listening to old Creed music on YouTube, and it's how they have the little things on YouTube like what you're watching.
Yeah,
and it had that interview with Scott Stapp, and I clicked on it, and I was like, "Oh, cool!" And I was watching it, and I just like to hear. I like to hear good stories. And his story is a good story. It's, he overcame self-medication, addiction, depression. Him and his wife stayed together through it all, and I just wanted to give him a shout out.
That is a good shout out because I know we rarely talk about music on here, and we all love music.
Yeah.
And it's important. I mean, because it's important to me, I know it's important to you guys and get you through stuff, hard stuff. And
well, I can tell you this: if you listen to his new album, which is the Space Between the Shadows, every song on there is good. Mm-hmm. I like every song on there. There's a few of them on there that really hit home to me. But if you have ever gone through any kind of addiction, any kind of depression, any kind of trauma, or whatever it is in your life, some song on that album is going to touch you. It's gonna hit you. You're gonna feel it because he wrote all of them, and he wrote them from that place of recovery where he's at now. But man, it's a really good album. Like I said, it really, there's a few songs on there that really resonate with me. And but hey, I suggest anybody go look it up and listen to it.
Nice. Any shout outs to anybody?
Oh, my babies and wife always love you. They let me come out here and hang out with y'all and throw down on the mic. So,
Ashley, you got anybody?
I don't know. We'll see.
So no.
I wasn't prepared for this already. It's usually kind of one of those things I think of as the show goes on.
Well, I got a shout out to Eves, Lauren Eby. I don't know why I'm doing that.
Do you want to push a button?
The Stars won.
Yeah, the Stars won. Sweet, 2 in a row for them too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So
after dropping 4 in a row.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
That was the past. This is now.
This is the present and the future.
The past is the past. Present's now.
That's why they call it a gift.
That's from Christopher Walken.
Or it is a gift. Yeah. That's why they call it the present.
So
yeah, that's how it goes.
Okay. So our first subject, Bigfoot. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
Ash, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Bigfoot.
We need to go back to the other house.
I know. funny, like before we get into the subject, I posted on Penn, Texas today, creature sounds.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was like Creatures of the Night, and it was the howl that we used on the first one.
Hack.
And it was like whoever was doing it was like, he was in East Texas. He claims he was in East Texas, and his cats were at his feet, was watching TV, and he heard some noise outside, and the cats run off. That's what he was saying on his video. Mm-hmm. He goes outside. You can clearly hear coyotes or dogs in the background, and then the narrator says, "And then things change." And then you can hear the howl. I go, man, it's
the same howl.
That's the howl we use.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
hack
weak. So anyway, we don't have a title for this episode yet, episode 8. But the subject I wanted to touch on was why do Bigfoots stink or smell?
Stinky Bigfoot.
Stinky Bigfoot. So, I know part of it, and I'll give my opinion, and you guys can follow. Because I know I've read some Diane Fossey stuff in the past about her doing research on the silverback gorillas, and she used to always she wrote down some stuff about whenever people would approach a male silverback gorilla, he would stand up and scream, and she says that it was her description was fear odor. It's like the gland, I guess, the sweat glands, and it just releases more whenever they get excited or they get angry or scared or defensive or something like that. And so not all the Bigfoot stuff that I've done, and that's always intrigued me whenever I would get a Bigfoot sighting, and I would talk to the person, the eyewitness, and they would throw in the smell. So a lot of times they don't.
Yeah.
So just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts on that.
I mean, it makes sense. I think that's common in a lot of mammals that they have that as a way of either a deterrent or a way to communicate, to throw away around dominance too. Like, I was kind of reading up on, they were talking about gorillas and orangutans, that a lot of times it's a dominance thing. Like, this is my area or whatever. And if there's a more dominant male in the area, then they'll shut it off. Yeah. Because they don't want to be detected. And I guess that kind of makes sense if it's something that's trying to,
give off.
Either run you off or kind of like mark its territory, like plenty of animals scent mark and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To claim their territory or what have you.
So you're saying excuse me, you're saying like if one of them is throwing off this scent and making his stinkiness known, and a bigger, badder one comes around, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna stink so much."
Yeah,
because this one stinks more than me.
Yeah,
okay,
more or less,
or maybe like a human coming by and it's like interrupting their food source or their sexual advancements. I guess I don't know. They just feel threatened and they'll omit this smell.
Well, I was gonna say because it's always like, I've always heard it as if it's being attacked or if it's scared or if it's being dominant, or is this like something they use? You mentioned sexual acts. Is this something that they use to attract females?
Yeah, I think
like if the stinkier are, the more they're gonna get.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a dominance thing. It's like I'm,
Yeah. I mean, with Bigfoot stuff, I think it's just conjecture because we don't have any scientific proof.
Yeah.
But Diane Fossey says that on some of the stuff that I was reading is that they omitted it, like chimpanzees, orangutans, and silverbacks omitted it for social events or excitement. So I'm going to take that as they're trying to breed or
because I know I mean they like every species has something when it comes to like breeding or comes to like attracting the opposite sex. Every species has some kind of something to say, hey, I'm big bad and I'm better than this guy and I'm better. They all have that. So I didn't know if this was just a simple you know, as far as Bigfoot goes, and like you said, it's conjecture because we don't have any scientific proof. But if it's in gorillas, and I know we've compared Bigfoot to a lot of different animals, deer and gorillas, orangutans, all that good stuff. So if we're comparing them, you know, I know Ash said that gorillas do this for, you know, hey, I'm bigger and better than you.
Yeah, alpha.
Alpha. Another one backs down. So, you know, I guess it would be a way for them to attract the opposite sex for reproduction purposes, or like you said, for social events. Hey, I'm throwing a party. My party's better than yours.
Bigfoot party.
In several animals, they use scent markings for things like that because they're for us it just stinks. To them, it tells them their health, how old they are, you know, what kind of offspring they, you know. There's all kinds of stuff that they can be getting from this that we don't understand because it's not detectable. We don't. To us, you know.
And they might smell it different than it might smell really good to them.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like, ooh, yeah, little
baby.
Yeah, come on.
That's some,
you know, it's
some CK1.
You know, it's funny because like a while back, I hadn't mentioned this before, but when I was in Lamar County doing Bigfoot stuff, the indie Bigfoot stuff that I was doing, we were in the it was me, Kenny, Tim Clay, Buddy Britt. We were doing experiments in the woods. We were doing these different stuff, and we came across this tree that didn't have any limbs on it. It was just straight tree, straight up, no limbs on it. And we got a ladder, and we got some tires. Excuse me, some tires, and we spray painted one of the tires red, and we put it in the bottom. We got a ladder, we threw it in the bottom. We threw like 3 more tires on top of it to see if it would pull that one out. It was like they could see color. That was just experiment, and you could see someone messed with it, but it hadn't been touched that much. And then I forgot who it was had the idea of peeing on it, so we peed on it. All of us, me, Kenny, Tim, and Buddy, we all peed on the bottom one, the red one. And we came back the next weekend. The whole tree was pushed over. I mean,
he was mad.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been anybody. It could have been anybody just walking through the woods and saying,
you literally pissed him off.
I used to come over here and play with these tires.
Yeah.
I thought they gave me a nice toy. But then they came over here and pissed all over it. And I touched it with my hands.
Pissed on my toy.
So, I mean, that must have, it was a different scent. So he didn't, I'm assuming he didn't like it. I mean, again, this is conjecture. Yeah. And I can't prove. I mean,
well, that goes into any alpha male in his territory. If he smells some other dude's piss on his stuff, he's going to get pissed off, and he's going to be like, hey, wait a minute. And he's going to get mad. I know that if, hunters use deer urine to attract female deer, to attract doe. And, they might be attracting doe, but sometimes you can look up videos of dudes using deer urine and getting attacked by bucks. Because they come up and they're like, hey, man, this is my territory. And they start fighting. I mean, actually, like, attacking them.
Yeah.
So, there's some pretty funny ones out there. I suggest look that up.
So, yeah, because I know a couple of times I've been in the woods and I've come across, and it could be skunk or whatever, but John Benner Eagle's book was talking about. I don't know, you were reading about it.
Yeah, I was gonna read a little excerpt of it here in a second.
But a lot of times, whenever I was in the woods, like one of the very first times I went in the woods with Luke, we were in Sulphur Springs, and we're on this electrical right of way, and he was telling me, I know I was told this story before. He was telling me it's going to come around midnight, and it's going to come back around 3 a.m, and it's going to let us know. And I go, how? He goes, you'll find out. So, so we're sitting there, and then we had all these dogs around us. I told the story before, and the dogs take off like around 2:55, 2:59.
But the interesting thing is they just take off. Yeah, they don't like bark or anything. They just take off.
They just take off. They go under the house, and you could smell this odor like it was a cross between like really bad BO, a skunk, and I told you this before, like wet hair. Yeah, like a wet mop. Yeah, that's what it smelled like to me, like a combination of both. And it was just a horrible. It'd make you like put your hand up to your mouth and say, "Man, what the hell is that?"
Yeah.
So I mean, I've had it a couple times like that. I don't know if it was Bigfoot. I don't know. It could have been a boar walking coming by. I don't know, but
they smell pretty good.
Boars stink.
But they too have those musk glands. We have that little baby pig, and that was one thing. It's like you need to get it fixed quick because you will regret that you don't pretty fast.
Yeah.
Well, and again, I mean, you think about them already, exuding this stench, but I mean, they live out in the wild. I mean, they live out amongst the dirt and the muck and the mud and all that stuff. So,
and who knows what they're eating?
Yeah, that's a great point. Who
rolling in or whatever.
Whatever they do, and if they even clean themselves or whatever. So I can only imagine how bad these things truly stink. I have a John Bendernagel's book here, and it's or Bender. You know me in names. I can't pronounce it.
John Bendernagel.
It's his North America's Great Ape, the Sasquatch.
And he's allowed to do that because he's from British Columbia.
Yeah, he's. That I asked. That's funny you mentioned this. I asked Robert before we came on the show. I was like, his book is the Sasquatch, and I was like, so is he a lazy poop coward? And he was like, no, he's from British Columbia. So I was like, okay. So he gets a pass. A lazy coward, not a lazy poop coward. I had to throw poop in there because we're talking about
the episode.
Yeah. So, but
listen to that one. It's really good.
It is good.
It's really good. I think the title turns people off.
Yeah.
I think that was one of I have fun on every one of them, but man, that was truly a fun episode to do
because we went into the stuff at the con and whatnot.
Yeah, it was just a fun episode.
I think if I take the word poop out, it'll get more downloads.
Maybe it might, but
you would think, because that's trendy with the kids, right?
Yeah, I mean, everybody who doesn't like a good poop joke.
I know. The scoop on poop.
Yeah, but listen to it, download it. Everybody that's been downloading every other one's
sorry, that's late.
Man, you're late every time. Every time. All right, so. This is in his book, North America's Great Ape, the Sasquatch, and there's a little excerpt in here about odor. It says the overpowering and nauseating stench of the Sasquatch is the most memorable feature of many Sasquatch encounters, yet it is totally absent from most sightings, even at close range. Distinctive odor may be considered adequate evidence for the presence of some mammal species such as skunks and black bears. Observers who have sensed Sasquatch odor at close range describe it as a strong stench of rotten eggs, a terrible odor like a dead animal, or smelling like rotten meat. Its strength can be such that it makes you gag or want to vomit, and in other cases is eye-watering. The descriptions of the Sasquatch odor invite comparisons with that of mountain gorillas, once described by Diane Fossey as a gagging fear odor. And then he just says you can look at the Appendix 5, and it'll in the book. Obviously, we can't show you Appendix 5 because we don't have. But if you have the book, go to Appendix 5, and it'll tell you that. I think it's interesting. You had mentioned Diana Fossey, or Diane Fossey, not Diana, but Diane Fossey as a gagging fear odor, and Ash mentioned mountain gorillas and them having the same odor. Now, I've never smelled a mountain gorilla. But I have smelled the skunk, and I have broken rotten eggs in my hand. And those are two of the most disgusting smells. They're eye-watering smells. They are gagging smells. I didn't get sprayed. My cousin got sprayed with a skunk, but I was standing right next to him when he got sprayed.
Oh, man.
His leg got sprayed. And when I was, the rotten eggs, I was on an old tractor, and... the rotten eggs were up under the wheel of the tractor, and I was getting them out, and I was trying to get on the tractor because I was going to throw them at my brother, but I slipped.
Karma.
Yeah, I slipped, and when I slipped, I fell, and my hands hit my chest, and they crushed between my chest and my hands. So it was right on. That I have to say that's worse than.
I can just imagine being your parent.
I know. Yeah. Well, I was at my grandparents' house, so my mama was the one that I had to deal with.
Did you use a
Poor man.
Did you have to use a water hose outside?
Yeah, she definitely turned the water hose. She wouldn't let me. I actually had to sleep in. They had a little extra room on the back of their house that I slept in. I couldn't go in the main house because me or my cousin, because my cousin got sprayed. It was the same time.
Thanks.
My cousin got sprayed with the skunk.
Can you imagine? It's like these boys.
Yeah.
I swear to God.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably like 8, and my cousin, he's about a year older than me. So we were like 8, 9, 10 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And we were always getting in trouble like boys do. We were on a farm and, had acreage to run on, so we were always getting in trouble.
So
but anyway, but those two smells are by far the stinkiest smells I've ever smelled in my life. And they will make you gag, and they will make your eyes water.
Well, I know whenever I worked at USBC, I caught a bunch of skunks. Do you recall that?
Yeah, I know. I remember whenever the skunks would spray and it would get in the vents and it would go throughout the whole building.
Yeah, it would last till like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it would last all day. But yeah, you caught many.
Probably about 35.
Yeah, easy,
Yeah.
if not more.
Yeah, it was like, and that smell is like, man, it just, I've never got sprayed with it, and
But it lingers.
It does linger.
It lingers and lingers and lingers. So if Bigfoot, I was about to say this big hairy monster, but I didn't.
Well, when you're listening.
If this Bigfoot has this kind of odor, it's to me, this part of the Bigfoot story makes me not believe it.
Yeah.
More. It makes it more unbelievable to me that he hasn't been found or that he hasn't been. Or that he's out there. This is a step back for me.
Whenever I would get eyewitness reports and it would like tell me it was a close proximity, like it crossed the road and they had the windows. I go, did you have the windows down? That's the first thing I say. You got the windows down? They go, yeah. I go, okay. Or they says it came back in the back of the house. I go, were you outside? Yeah. Did you smell anything? No. Okay. That's I kind of question it a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. Well, I have a question too.
Go.
Do you think it's possible that it's only the males that do that?
Well, that is a good question.
And another counterpoint, and I might be totally making this up in my head, but I think I've heard people theorize a lot of times sightings are either younger creatures or females. Mm-hmm. Do you think that could put into accountability to why?
That's a great question. It's a great question.
It's a good point.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't even think that.
Diane Fossey's, from what I remember reading, she did state that the males gave that pungent precipitation.
Now this is the gorillas.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. This is her talking about gorillas.
Like the big dominant ones.
Yeah,
So,
like they would give out an overwhelming sense, but she did say on some of her notes that she did say that females did too, but not overwhelmingly.
not as much.
Yeah.
So theoretically, this is my theory. It's just like because a lot of people think that it's younger ones that let themselves be seen because they're more curious. It makes more sense. Yeah.
Well, that's just like guinea. That's like kids now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Human kids.
And so therefore, theoretically, with that in hand, that it's just the big dominant. Let's say that the big males that smell as bad.
Right.
So with your more sightings, it's not going to be hand in hand with that because they probably aren't the ones that
is possible.
that are coming out as much.
That is possible. It could.
It
could be a young adolescent. It could be a female, and they don't put off that smell, and they don't. The eyewitness is probably so scared they don't notice if it's a male or female.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think, because if we go back and again we're comparing apples and oranges here. If we go back to gorillas, the male gorillas, no matter how old they are, they're gonna put off the odor. They're gonna put off the smell. And again, we go back to, well, the more dominant one is going to out smell the other one, and the other one's going to let it down. So, but that is a great point. That I would think that, I mean, all baby. Look at any species, any animal, anything. the babies are always curious. They're always curious and wondering and going out where they're not supposed to. That's why the babies get eaten all the time. So, and then, I don't know anything about gorillas or Bigfoot or anything, just what we've talked about here. But I know that most species that do have that dominant gene or whatever it is the male that has it in most. I know there's some species where the male is the dominant one and stuff like that, but the majority of them, the male is the one that portrays the dominance, whatever it is to attract.
That does displays for breeding purposes.
Yeah, for breeding purposes. Yeah, is more often than not the male. So that's a good point. I never thought of that. But I'm just saying, if this thing stinks that bad, I've been in the woods a lot. And I know what you're going to say. You haven't been in East Texas.
West Texas.
You haven't been in East Texas. You haven't been in East Texas.
Do they even have woods in West Texas? I mean, they have like a tree.
That's a good point too. They have bushes. But
they have parks.
I went out in the woods in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Louisiana definitely has woods.
Yep.
They got big trees, lots of woods. I was in Virginia.
Which part of
Fort Lee, around Fort Lee, around Fort Polk.
Which part of Louisiana were you
It's
in?
around Fort Polk. It's like the Leesville area. It's kind of
the east or the west?
It's more. I would say it's more like central east Louisiana kind of. I don't know, man. I don't remember. That was a long time ago.
There's a part of East Texas that it's called the Big Thicket, and it runs all from Nacogdoches all the way down to
like in the Falk area.
Yeah, it runs that high up all the way down, and that part of Louisiana. That's back in the day, back in the early 2000s. We called it Monster Central because supposedly all the Bigfoots in that area were really aggressive.
Is that not where they had to shut down like visitor areas and stuff on the lakes because they were coming in to
I think
the
so.
campgrounds?
I think so, but I don't.
Allegedly, of course, but
I've also been in the woods in Missouri.
Yeah. Is that Momo, Missouri? Momo.
No.
So, but I've never, and again,
I'm gonna look that up.
Keeping an open mind. They might not have felt threatened by me. I am a short, not very intimidating white guy.
And more often than not, they're gonna not let themselves be seen.
Yeah, that's it. They could hide, and
I mean, there could have been, just animal perspective. Who knows what else is out there that doesn't want to be seen? So they're in their environment. They don't move.
They don't feel threatened.
You're not going to see them.
So I mean, I can, like I said, I try to keep it as open mind as I can about it. But
yeah, the Bigfoot in Missouri is called the Momo.
The Momo. So I never got any Momo when I was in Missouri, but like this just kind of. I don't know. It just kind of, like I said, I just take a step back and you should, because debunking stuff is. I mean, because like nowadays everybody's watching a Bigfoot documentary. Everybody's watching. Everybody's got internet. Everybody's looking at stuff. But I think that stuff is saturation. It's so saturated. But I think all that is just for the straight commercialization of it, man. And that's not.
It happened.
It's not real
with this. Whenever it started being on fucking Animal Planet, and the same with the with the ghost hunting and stuff. It's like it's cool at first, but then it just became so saturated and marketed and stuff. And people love reality TV. It's easy to make. It's cheaper to make. You don't have to hire writers and shit hardly. You know?
But there's nothing more non-reality than reality TV. Yeah. There's nothing reality about reality TV.
Once when I was with the TBRC, I got a sighting report in Van Zandt County. So if you know Van Zandt County, it's right between Dallas and Tyler.
Yeah.
So there's not much there.
A bunch of pine trees.
I mean, there's not much there, to support. I think a Bigfoot. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And so I got a sighting report, and this is probably one of the very first times that I had thought of, saturation. This kid was like, he said he saw a Bigfoot carrying a deer over its shoulder. And I said, I recall I was going to go interview him in person because I was going to do it like over the phone. And I think Craig Woolheater was telling me, do it over the phone. I said, no, I'm going to go out there.
Blue Diamond.
Yeah.
So I ended up driving out there to Van Zandt County. I knocked on the door. It was a trailer. I knocked on the door. The guy's mom came out and she says, he can't come out. And I think he was underage. And so that kind of, because I looked around his trailer and there's no wood, maybe like 100 yards away, 200 yards. I don't know. There wasn't that many trees. Mm-hmm. So if he saw one, then I should have got multiple sightings in that area. And so to me, that was one of the things I just said, okay, he's doing saturation stuff and just wanted to. So I think he put in a sighting report to see if he gets some kind of attention. Right. I went out to go interview him and he froze and didn't want to come out. So that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. He didn't think that you guys would ever show up, or he was just trolling you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
We would get that a lot, too. People wanting to be on TV, whatever. We'd be sitting there trying to run EVPs, and everybody and their cousins got to come knock on the door. The ghost hunter's here.
Yeah. Yoo-hoo. I'll make you famous.
Can we be on TV? Can we come watch what y'all doing? And they're like,
yeah.
If you know Michelle at all, it's like, no. She has to have structure and order to things, and that, just random people showing up. Or, no, we're not about that shit. I
found something interesting while I was going through John's book here. Mm-hmm. It says the persistent odor in Sasquatches. And what I thought was interesting is there's a site here that was on a coastal island. We never talked about it being around the coast or anything like that. We always talked about it being in the woods and on that.
His book goes into that.
Yeah, and it just says the reported persistence of Sasquatch odor is of interest. In one account, an odor like rotten eggs was associated with fresh Sasquatch tracks, and in another, the strong odor of rotting meat attracted a beachcomber to a likely Sasquatch nest in the debris of the high tide line on a coastal island of British Columbia.
Vancouver?
Yeah. Following a 1973 report near Derry, Pennsylvania, a rotten meat odor hung around the house for 2 days. I just thought it was pretty interesting because we never talked about it being on a coastal. I
do recall, which is John Bennernigel's book, the one you're referencing, is probably one of the best books for beginners. That's just me. It's he breaks stuff down so well. But I think he talks about Bigfoot swimming in that one. So that he had some eyewitness reports of a Bigfoot swimming from one island to another island. So I thought that was kind of odd. I said, wow.
In that area,
Yeah.
With a big animal like that, I mean, more or less, from what I understand, their diets are kind of like bears.
Yeah.
Whatever they can get when they can, and they adapt to their surroundings.
I found something else in here that's pretty interesting, too. We were talking about how it sometimes smells and sometimes doesn't smell. It says the overpowering odor associated with some Sasquatch encounters, such as those described in Chapter 8, is likely of similar glandular origin. This would account for its overwhelmingly presence in some encounters and absence from most others.
Food for thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, John Bindernagel is obviously smarter than I am about Bigfoot.
He is a good dude, man.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. Y'all talk. I'm gonna look up something here.
Like I was saying before, his book is probably one of the best books, and I highly recommend it for anybody that gets into Bigfoot and doesn't know that much about it. His book is one of the best books. And whenever I first met him, I'm not sure if I talked about the story, but whenever I first met him, it was at the first annual TBRC Bigfoot conference. And whenever I approached him, I asked him a bunch of questions. I asked him about bears and howls and what I thought about Bigfoots, what they did. And, and he's a smart dude. He's a smart dude, retired, writing books, going around, probably, you know, just speaking and stuff. That's how he got probably most of his money. But, you know, I would tell him what I thought Texas Bigfoot was. And he was like, he pulled out a pad, he pulled out a pen, he started writing down whatever I was saying. Now, granted, he probably threw it away or never going to use it ever, which is okay with me. But the fact that he took the time to write down what I was saying, a novice, a newbie to Bigfoot, I thought was tremendous, and I respected him so much. He's such a great guy, and I'm so sorry he passed, and I wish I would have talked to him a little bit more before his passing. But he was so friendly, he was so nice, he was so infatuated with Texas chili. I know I talked to you guys off show about it, but he was just so fascinated with it, and he says, "Oh, this is so good." And he was like, you know, he was eating the bowl, and then whenever he was talking to me, he had it inside of a cup. He was eating it in a cup, talking to me about Bigfoot. So I thought that was super cool. His wife was really nice too. So, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that he's a good author, a good person, and I can't say enough good things about that guy. So, but smells.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about it being a glandular activity, and I'm trying to look up
like the sweat gland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna probably butcher this, but it's apocrine sweat gland. I'm probably butchering it.
I butcher a lot of things, man. It's okay.
But do you remember in Hallsville? But we didn't smell anything then, did you?
No,
it was too cold.
It was really cold because it was like, I don't even remember what time of year it was, but it was definitely winter, and it was freezing and damp.
You could see our breath too.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
I know that cold covers up a lot of smells, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's one of those things that, I mean, that's why they put, you know, dead people on ice.
Yeah,
because it keeps them from smelling. Anyway, I'm not finding what I want to find, but I just think it's interesting that he brings up that it's glandular, because I know that not all of our glands are the same. I mean, we do emit odor if we work out.
Yeah,
we stink, but I know all of us don't stink the same.
Yeah,
right.
And there's a lot of things that probably going on. You know, of course, there's argument that we don't produce pheromones, but I'm pretty sure we do. You know.
Yeah.
Where that we don't realize we're smelling things and we're picking up on signals that, I mean, there's probably plenty of stuff that we do like that we have no idea.
Yeah. And that's what I was trying to see if there's any correlation between human glandular and Bigfoot, but that's for another time. It's too much to get into. So it's deeper research than I have time to do right here.
So I know that say for example, if we eat like a lot of garlic, we're gonna emit that smell.
Yeah, we're gonna
with our sweat.
I can give you a perfect example. When I was in MOS school for the Marine Corps, we'd go out and get really drunk, and I'm just talking really, really drunk. And we would have to be in PT formation at 3:30 in the morning the next morning, and we wouldn't get back until like 1, 2 o'clock. So we didn't have time to sober up before we're in PT formation. So we roll out at 3:30 for PT, and when we're running, we smell like a brewery, or
bourbon or something.
Yeah, we smell like liquor, beer, whatever. But it was just a whole platoon of
vodka.
Just you could smell us from a mile away, because that's what we were sweating out that liquor, that beer, and they made us run harder every single time. Yeah, we threw up a lot, but that's a good point. If they're eating, I mean, they might eat skunk. I don't know.
Yeah.
They might eat, dead animals. I mean, they might eat rotten eggs.
I've had some eyewitness reports of Bigfoots eating roadkill.
It makes sense.
That they see, like a deer got hit, and
because they are omnivores, right?
Right.
They eat whatever.
They're opportunistic. So
yeah.
I know I've talked about a story about them eating out of a grease pit. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I
don't know if you said that on here, but I know that we've talked about it often.
Yeah, I don't recall. we talk so much about Bigfoot. I don't know if I did it on the show or not.
I know that you've told me that they've eaten out of grease pits.
Yeah, grease pits.
And they like menstrual cycles.
Yeah,
I know that you made a comment about
that's kind of common in
about
predators
that.
in general.
They like that smell, and that's a very
pungent.
Pungent, yeah, that's a good word. It's a very pungent smell. And if they're anything like deer, well, then they can smell from way far away. So, I mean, I'm not so bent against it now.
Yeah, because like most of the time, whenever I did a sighting report in an area, and I did ask the question about smell, if they smelled anything, and they would say, oh, maybe we get skunks out here, so I always ask what's in the area, like what's like a fish hatchery or a farm, they're growing onions or turnips or whatever, and I always ask, well, what's in the area, and try to find out and do the research and drive around and look at maps and stuff. So it is possible that a Bigfoot sits in that area eating what's ever viable, and they give off the odor.
Or so, it's possible that some stink worse than others.
Yeah,
they don't all smell the same.
Yeah,
even in the same areas, eating the same things. Because like I said, I know some people, man, they sweat and man, it's bad. Like real bad.
I just thought of ex-boyfriends of mine. I know some people that can sweat like crazy and they don't even stink. Yeah. I mean, as you can it's like a testosterone. It's like there's a different smell, but it's not like, oh man, you stink, you know. So, I mean,
big stinker.
I guess I still,
Yeah. That's okay.
But it's all this stuff is very interesting to me.
It's funny because I've listened to other radio shows and stuff like that. I don't think anybody's ever talked about smells, Bigfoot smells.
Well, I mean,
it's part of the mythos of it. Yeah. Something to touch on, and how I like to look at it is from compare and contrast to known animals. Things that we already know about, and it's like, well, this is the possibility. And it kind of makes sense when you break it down from instead of like just some whatever fantastic point of view.
I almost want to go back and talk to the guy, the one that gave me the Longville story, and ask that question if he smelled anything.
If he smelled anything,
because I don't recall asking him that.
Well, so. I would again, going back to me and if I'm running and I'm not looking for very much detail,
right? But you would know that, right?
But here's the thing: that is your smell is the sense that's the most closely related to memory. Yeah. It's the out of all senses that you have, smell is most related to memory. Mm-hmm. So if I would remember a smell, like right to this day, you could spray a can of WD-40 that quick. I'm thinking of my papa. Yeah. Because my papa used WD-40 for everything. I mean, everything. Spray some WD-40 on it. Spray some I always, Britt, my wife, makes fun of me because
Tussin.
I use Febreze all the time. But in my big fat Greek wedding, the dad uses Windex. He squirts everything with Windex. Yeah. Well, that was my papa. My papa, man, everything was WD-40. So if I smell WD-40, it's instant back to my. So that's why if I was in an I would remember a smell. Yeah. I would remember, especially if it was this pungent. If it was this, I mean, this full of odor and nasty. Yeah. That is something that, but that's not something that you have to work at getting the detail of. You know what I mean? It's not hard to be like, oh man, I smell it. You don't have to be looking at it. You don't have to be facing it. You don't have to be. It's just, oh man, I smell it.
Every time I think about fresh cut grass, I think about my dad because he's
Mexican, right?
No,
I'm sorry. That's horrible.
Snap.
No, it was.
Oh no! It's because all our listeners.
It's because he used to make me cut the grass all the time.
Yeah, but when you smell
fresh cut grass,
fresh cut grass, you remember your dad.
Yeah. So,
do you have any smells like that, Ash?
Sure. Car grease and like for my dad specifically, gun oil.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. because he's a cop, and of course has his own arsenal.
But
that collector, you know.
But you could be anywhere. Yeah. You could be anywhere, not having anything to do with your dad, and you smell gun oil, and it's boom.
So anybody out there, if you see a Bigfoot, smell.
Get a big whiff. Don't run without smelling.
And then ask it how old it is.
If you see it,
what gender it identifies as.
Yeah, ask, see if you can see his nipples.
And it'll say nothing because it probably doesn't speak English.
It'll go.
That scared me, man.
Sorry.
Well, that's what it sounded. That's what that recording sounded like.
Yeah, that one that we were talking about.
Yeah, that
we played.
That weird garbly.
That's exactly what it said.
It's like that song that I played you guys. That Italian composer. It's like, this isn't English, but this is what English sounds like to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's almost where it sounds like it should be something, but it's nothing. You know?
There were times where it did sound. Oh, wait a minute. But it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah.
So what should this episode be named?
I don't know.
That's what that. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Just name it.
We can name it Sweat Glands.
Let's keep that in our back pocket.
Okay.
We still have a lot of show to go.
I was gonna say Smelly Bigfoot, but why does Bigfoot?
That's a little on the nose.
Smelly cat.
No.
So we're like 47 seconds in.
47 seconds.
Just gonna stay with me now forever.
But we'll get a name out there. We'll get a title out there.
Simon.
Cachetone. So Smelly Bigfoot.
Yeah, I kind of like it. It's just me, but it's just me. So.
Ooh, that smell.
Ooh, that smell. That's a good one. What a great reference.
Is it a song? Is it a song?
If you could have seen the look on mine and Ash's face whenever he asked that. So he counters with Justin Timberlake.
You can't hide behind old JT forever for everything.
Man.
You can't fight your battles for him.
Hey, we'll let you look that up, okay?
It's so good though.
No, I'm talking about we'll let you look up Ooh, That Smell.
Oh, okay.
I like that. That you just bumped up a major level in my book right there.
Thanks,
Ash.
man.
Not you.
Thanks, man.
You don't even know what we're talking about. What a great reference.
What?
You're outvoted 2-1.
Thanks, man.
Ooh, that smell.
Thanks, man.
I'm a little bit jealous that I did not come up with that. So
gotta get up early morning. Keep up with this one here.
Gotta get up early and do your research on black-eyed children and buy pizza.
Yeah.
And then go on a fucking adventure. And the last. Good grief, we can't just go to the store and get something. It's gotta be.
Oh man.
It's gonna be 2 hours.
And then the internet goes down, or the system goes down.
We don't know what you ordered or who you are, but here you go anyway.
Here's some pizza.
Whatever.
And then we wanted some cinnamon rolls, and they couldn't even make them. I was upset. That would have made everything worthwhile. But hey, we ended up getting gummy worms, and I got a Butterfinger sundae.
We got
red velvet
cupcakes.
Yeah,
cupcakes up there. Y'all hadn't even touched them yet.
Too sweet.
Gotta love QT.
Simone.
QT in the clutch.
I wanted like just a little bit of segment to talk about the Mandalorian, but you haven't seen it all.
I haven't seen it.
You still haven't watched it all?
I fell asleep.
Come
Sorry,
on.
I had
the
flu.
Hey,
okay.
We can talk about to the point where you stopped, right?
Yeah.
It's only up to episode 4, right?
5. It's 5.
Ooh, man, I'm behind.
Are you really?
I haven't seen 5 yet. I've only seen 4.
Then we can't talk about it then.
Yeah.
Which one did you get to?
To the newest one.
On 5?
Yeah.
Man, you're ahead of me. I'm clowning on you, and you're ahead of me.
I really watched it.
I'm sorry, Ash.
Today.
I need to watch it. I'll watch it when I get home.
So we can't talk about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, we can't talk about it because I'm behind. Look at me trying to clown, and I'm the clown.
There's cute
You're
baby
supposed
things.
to hit.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Thanks.
So
Is Baby Yoda in it?
Of course.
of course,
He's the best thing of the show.
yeah.
He's the best part.
He walks around.
I don't know. Mandalorian's pretty bad to the bone.
He giggles a lot in this episode.
Oh, good. He's becoming more vocal.
Yeah, he's,
Awesome.
Yeah, it's I think it's I don't know. It's probably one of the best shows around, hands down.
Yeah, Mandalorian is awesome. It is a really, really good show. It is, well, besides my kids wanting me to watch it with them, one of the main reasons why I started watching Star Wars.
Yeah,
It's because of the Mandalorian.
yeah. But I told you to watch it because and you said I haven't seen Star Wars, and I said
I know you don't
have
have to. You don't have to. But it only.
It helps, but
But it was just like, okay, if this is this good, then I got to check out what Star Wars is.
Yeah.
Because if it's this good and this is based on the Star Wars franchise.
Well, I can't say this about this episode. You already saw New Hope, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this episode will kind of take you back.
Oh,
that,
cool.
so-
because see, you told me I've only seen two of them.
Right.
I've seen New Hope and Return of the Jedi.
No,
I mean, not Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi is the next one I got to watch. But you told me that Empire Strikes Back is like one of your top 5 movies.
yes,
I liked New Hope more than I liked Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and that's understandable.
Yeah. So if it takes me back to New Hope, that's kind of a cool thing for me.
Yeah, it is.
Because I really enjoyed New Hope.
Because you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna say, "Oh my god, I already saw that."
Awesome.
there's that thing with the thing and the thing.
And the other thing that I saw with the thing.
And these thingies, I just like that it has all the
Yeah.
all the big animals that they ride on and shit.
So, not that I didn't like Empire Strikes Back. I liked it a lot.
Right.
It was good. But I liked New Hope more than I liked Empire Strikes Back.
I loved Empire Strikes. I mean, Empire
Yeah,
Strikes
it's
Back
like top
because-
5, yeah.
because it's the introduction of Yoda.
Yeah. And
And I loved it.
That was, one, I didn't know how funny Yoda was.
Yeah.
He's a pretty funny little green dude, man. And I loved it when he took Luke's food and he was eating it, and then Luke took it back, and then he crawled into the little thing to get some more. But
He says, "How do you eat this and get so big?"
yeah. So I didn't realize I had no idea Yoda was that funny.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So
Yeah,
But,
George Lucas originally wanted to make Luke Skywalker like Yoda. That was his concept.
that wouldn't have worked.
Well, he did it in Willow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good guy is a short person.
Yeah.
So, but that was his original. I think.
It's very like Hobbity.
Yeah.
Original, Lord of the Rings, unlikely hero
Yeah.
Yeah.
type. I mean,
But
But I'm just saying, Yoda's enough. You don't need 2 Yodas.
Yeah, because it worked.
Yeah.
But that was his original plan. His original plan was to
And here's the thing:
make the hero the small.
if he would have done it, it probably would have worked too. It probably would have been.
possibly.
Because you haven't seen Return of the Jedi, but you know about the Ewoks, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why he kind of incorporated that too.
Yeah.
They're small.
Cute little fluffy
Yeah,
dogs.
and they're pretty bad
Yeah.
to the bone.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he kind of redid it. He kind of redid it there too. So, but anyway.
So he kept the kind of the ideology of
Yeah, but it just wasn't the main character.
it just wasn't the main character.
So
Which is pretty cool because the
Yeah.
Ewoks are pretty cool.
yeah,
I wish they
they
would
are.
have done a trilogy with Willow.
Yeah.
It seemed like that's where it was heading. That they were
Yeah.
gonna
Oh,
do
yeah.
more with that. Because
So-
he created like this whole big, huge universe and backstories, and I
Yeah.
know there's like RPGs and stuff with it, but
Burgle
it just
cut.
never,
Burgle cut.
it never went anywhere.
Someday, Burgle Cuts. Someday you'll what?
I don't know if we've talked about this on mic, but I know we've talked about it off mic. How freakishly large Willow's hands are.
No,
They are giant.
He's
enormous.
He's a farmer, dude.
I know, but man, them suckers are big.
He's got to grab turnips and
So,
gotta
persimmons.
carry that baby around.
Yeah.
Laura Dannon.
Laura Dannon.
What does he say? By no means are we taking this. They're just walking
Okay,
by.
Dada. Oh well, whatever.
Yeah, they just walk by
Those are
laughing.
the cutest.
They're just
my
laughing
All
and
those
stuff.
kids are so cute.
Oh, they are adorable. What's funny is the Rannin. Is that his name? Rannin or Ronan? I can't remember his name. And then the little girl's name is Mims.
Yeah, they're
Rannin or something like that.
I can't remember.
I can't remember. But anyway, Mims looks just like my second daughter when she was a baby. I mean, just like her. It's crazy. And then Rannin looks just like my friend son. His name's Buck. Looks just like him. And it looks so much like him that they asked the little ones that were younger than Buck, who is that in the picture? And they're like, that's Buck. They really thought it was him.
But it was the movie.
But it was the picture of Ronin in the movie. So, or Rannin, I can't remember his name. It's something like that.
Ronin, he's Japanese. He's a Japanese word.
I think it's Rannin.
I mean, it is George Lucas.
I'm gonna look it up.
Without a sensei.
Without a sensei. But I'm excited to see the new Mandalorian because I'm definitely addicted to that show.
I might just watch it again. So there you go.
Oh.
I'm excited to see Return of the Jedi too.
Yeah, you should.
Because that's the next. I'm excited to see all of them.
You should be.
Then.
You should watch Clone Wars too. It's a cartoon, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to be really good. I've seen some of it.
It's
not all of it.
it's supposed to be before New Hope, right?
The Clone Wars.
No,
Clone Wars?
it takes place there, like in between
The Clone
episode
Wars.
2 and 3.
Yeah, and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
It's kinda,
Ranon. Mims was his daughter and Ranon. Ranon.
sweet.
Rannin or Ranon.
Ronin, sweet.
Rannon.
Rhiannon.
Yeah.
So
That was close.
you were.
How many seconds are we in now?
48.
56.
56.
So we could technically go to another subject if you
Okay.
guys want to.
Y'all do that. I gotta make a.
Okay. You ready? You ready to go to another subject?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go. The paranormal.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if I told you, but I love doing that. That
Really? No, I don't think that you've said that literally every single time. At all. It doesn't ring a bell. News to me.
So, what I kind of want to talk about on this one was, and I got this from Tanya Morat, the moderator for Penn, Texas. You know, residual hauntings.
Oh, yes.
So I know, most of the time, you know, I haven't got a lot of residual stuff whenever I was the director or the case director for Penn, Texas. I don't know if you did whenever you're with your group.
I'm not really sure, honestly, because I can't say anything where I could definitively say, nope, that's not what that was, or that is what that is, you know?
Because it seems like a type of thing that would take a lot more of time just because we spread ourselves a little thin.
Yeah.
When it came, we would have, usually more often than not, we would have one night
Yeah.
for X amount of time.
Same here.
And that's all we'd ever spend on it. It's
Yeah.
like, this is what we found. And more often than not, we didn't follow up.
Yeah, because like most of the time, you need like maybe like a week or 3 days or something. Because like,
I'd say 3 days minimum.
yeah, because like whether you get it or not, I mean whether you get something, because residual stuff, man, it's like, I've never experienced it, but I've read about it, and I've read some books about it. It's like it's almost like video play.
Yeah.
Something just plays over and over and over.
Yeah.
And it doesn't acknowledge the person that's witnessing it or the person in the house.
Yeah.
It just happens.
Well, that's why there's no fear involved. Like, you shouldn't be afraid of a residual haunting or something like that, because there's residual and intelligent hauntings, and intelligent hauntings.
And there are different types of residual hauntings too,
yeah.
because sometimes people think that it's a spirit or what have you, and like stuck in a time loop, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there's also a theory that it is a kind of like where a traumatic event happened,
Right.
and it imprinted there. So there's not a ghost there. It's just that energy is repeating this thing over. I have a story that I remember being told, I can't remember who told me this or most of the details, but more or less the story was that that this woman kept thinking that she heard a voice in her house, her talking on the phone. It's kind of what they said. And I think what the story eventually led to was that it was actually, she was haunting herself from a story, or from when she got the call that her child had died during the war. And that had imprinted on the house.
So it was like emotional.
I don't know how true that is, but it's just kind of like an example. Some sort of traumatic event that's not even, it just leaves a mark on the area.
Well, I get about, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I get about the residual stuff, how it's in the imprint. Like if someone gets murdered in the house, they've gone through all the fear and the screams and the loss of life and the energy all spent there. So, but most of the residual stuff that I read about, it's about someone walking through a wall or just walking through, or saying, or a dance or at a club or something.
And it's the same thing.
Yeah. So I mean,
well, walking through the wall could be, that wall might not have been there.
Right. There was a doorway there.
Yeah, there was a doorway, or there wasn't anything there, and now here's a building. So
intelligent hauntings knows it's here, knows that what's here.
Right.
Basically.
And can interact. Yeah.
It knows where it is. Like a residual haunting, it sees, it has no idea.
Right.
It's in its own reality or its own time or whatever, but it may or may not be a spirit. It could just be an energy imprint.
What do you guys think contribute to residual haunting? I mean, other than the energy, other than why is the energy captured there? Why is the imprint there? I mean, other than it's energy upon energy.
Again, I will go back to what you were saying. Is most residuals are just somebody walking,
right?
Dancing, right. Something like that. So, kind of piggybacking on what Ash said, is it's just a moment. A memory, right? It's a memory of something that happened, and say for instance, somebody died in that place, in that area,
right?
Well, their memory was a good memory that they had was them dancing with this person,
right?
Well, when they die, that's the memory they're having. That might be what they're thinking at that moment, and boom, that energy gets implanted,
right?
Imprinted on that area.
Well, what I was kind of getting at was, what's the reason why the imprints there, like soil?
Like
soil, the grounds.
Yeah,
okay, I get you. Like that, like minerals,
right? So some materials retain energy better than others.
Water.
Right.
So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
There's a lot of theory. Like a lot of times, people say if there's like a lot of quartz in the ground because this holds a lot of energy, and there's different metals and minerals that Of course, it's not exactly scientific, but metaphysically can hold energies like that,
right?
Or attract them.
Water's a big.
I was just about to say that.
Water's a huge
conductor. Yeah.
Conductor of.
So if there's a
energy.
spring, if there's a spring under a house or under a property,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I think. Well, let's talk about Mineral Wells, Texas. How many people went to Mineral Wells, Texas, to get this water? This is supposed to be like holy water,
or
like
healing water,
and they move here, and Mineral Wells booms because we have miracle water.
Yeah,
right.
And there are a lot of hauntings in Mineral Wells, Texas, because I think there is something to. Some water has more minerals in it than others. If this area. Is flowing with water with a ton of minerals, and I'm not a geologist or anything like that. I don't know anything about the.
What are you, a geologist?
Yeah, a geologist. I just know that water is a huge conductor of energy,
right.
And they use water to make electricity. They use water to. Steam. Steam is will send a locomotive down a track.
Yeah,
that's a form of water. That's vapor.
Yeah,
so Water's powerful.
Yeah, that's always been interesting to me. I've never experienced it, but I've talked to people and interviewed, and there's some cases that I've interviewed I never got to go investigate. I would just interview people.
Right. I mean, that's more or less my experience with it. I mean, and again, we kind of had ourselves spread a little thin, so we didn't spend a lot of time. Because you have your outside life too. It wasn't our 24-hour job. You know,
right.
We'd have like one case a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, any more than that would be overwhelming because it was at most maybe 3-4 people, and 2 of us are actually putting in the work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing the research and the interviews and then reviewing evidence and everything like that. So we didn't really get a lot of time to spend in places, and a lot of the places we weren't local. You know, going from Tyler and Longview to Jefferson, or you know, to Waxahachie, or you know, what have you. So we would have like maybe at most 2 days, you know, a day and overnight, and then the morning, and then that's it.
And you also take into the consideration the exhaustion of it all. Yeah. I mean, because and it's not physically exhaustion; it's just mentally draining, which causes it to become physically exhausting.
I mean, you can only stare at a blank screen at a dark room for hours on end for so long.
And then you gotta make sure that you're not imprinting your own memories and own thoughts into what you're looking at, because your eyes are going to get fuzzy, and you know, so
you stare at something long enough, it's kind of like one of those pictures where you stare at it, and then your eyes
and here
go
comes
out of
a
focus,
dolphin.
and then it's exactly like that.
So, but as far as residual and it being there, I mean, I think it's like Ash said, it's just the imprint in time that it's and you mentioned it too, Robert. It's just a playback. Like if you put a scene on a movie and you took that clip and just played it over and over, it like Groundhog Day, kind of like Groundhog Day,
more or less. And I think a lot of people get that confused with a lot of times there are spirits that, you know, of course theoretically, I'm not saying definitively, obviously, but that they don't realize they're not just living, they're going about their day-to-day life. And they're not aware of their surroundings. I wouldn't say that that's the same thing as a residual haunting to me. Yeah. There are 2 different things, and a lot of times people interchange those things too.
Well, residual is the same exact thing happening. There are similar activities, like you were saying, there are similar activities that can go on and it not be residual. It might be an intelligent spirit or intelligent haunting or whatever you want to call it that's doing it, but it's doing similar things. But a residual is exactly the same thing. I mean, every time it's just the same exact thing.
It's not just they're not aware that they're, you know, dead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they
don't know that you're there. I mean, it's a lot of, I mean, there's fine lines, you know, between different definitions, and like this might be this, but also this, but this is not this, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to share a story. I'm not sure if it's residual, but it had something to do with some kind of material. So, and this was probably like, I don't know, like 4 years ago. Penn, Texas was just slowing down. We had lost the majority of our members were really old, and they didn't want to do it anymore. And it was a couple of members that just moved out of state. So it was just me and Kendall for the longest time, for like 3 years. And I got a case. I want to say it was in Killeen. It was on the base of Killeen. This guy reached out to me via the Penn, Texas Facebook page. And he was he had been overseas, and he came back, and he called me in duress. And so he was telling me that he had just got back from overseas, and that he had just got back into his house that was on the base. He had a dog, and that he was watching TV one night, and no, it was that night whenever he called me. He was watching TV. His dog got up and went to the back room and started barking. And so the guy thought he had an intruder on base, which he said that he thought it was Brazen, whoever it was. Mm-hmm. So he gets up, goes to the back of his back bedroom, pulls his firearm, his pistol, and he sees a silhouette facing, I guess, the wall. And this thing had turned around, and he said it was dressed all in black, and this thing turned around, didn't have a face. Mm-hmm. And he said that the thing said to him, "We are one of many," and then disappeared. And so he freaked out. He grabbed his dog, went out, he went to a hotel, messaged me on Messenger, gave me his number. I called him. I said, "What's up?" And so
I think I remember you telling me about this guy because you were talking to him long ago.
Yeah, and it was I talked to him on the phone for maybe like 10 minutes, and we were going over stuff, and I told him, I said, well, this was like, I think on a Tuesday or something. Mm-hmm. I said, I won't be able to get there till Friday. So I told him, hey, I go, have you been in this house before? He says, yeah, I was. He was telling me, I don't know how true this is, Chris, but from a military standpoint, you tell me. Okay. When you go overseas, do you keep the same house, the same station house? Mm-hmm. Okay. So when he got back,
it depends. Did he have family?
No, it was just him and his dog.
Okay, so if you have a house on post, if you're single and you're in the military, you don't stay in a house. Mm-hmm. If they're giving you the housing, you don't stay in a house unless you're like an officer.
Right. I can't remember if you said it was a house or apartment.
You stay in a barracks. Okay. In a barracks room. And sometimes when you leave, most of the time when you come back, you're going to be back in the same room. But there are times where they will move you rooms. Okay. But if you're in a house and you have a family and it's given to you by the military, mm-hmm. and you have a wife and kids and all that, you're going to come back to the same room.
Same house.
And most of the time, I'm going to say probably 98% of the time, if you're single living in the barracks, you're going to come back to that same room.
Okay.
So
I can't remember whether he said he was married or not. I'm pretty sure he was single. But he was saying that he saw this thing, then left the base, went to a motel, called me, messaged me, and then I called him and we talked on the phone. And I asked him, have you been there before? He says, yeah. I said, did anybody else see it? He says, no. I said, how long have you been back? He says, just a couple of weeks. I go, did you bring anything back with you from overseas? I go, where were you? He said, he was in Saudi Arabia. And he's trying to think about what he brought back. And then eventually he got to where he brought back a chest, like a wooden chest that he bought at some market.
Yeah, he probably bought it at a bazaar.
Yeah. And so I said, it's got to be the chest. So I said, I go, what kind of wood is it? He says, I don't know. It's like some kind of dark wood. And he bought it and he shipped it here, and it was here whenever he got back. Mm-hmm. And so I proceeded to talk to him more. I said, I'll call you again tomorrow. And then I called him again, and he didn't want to answer. So I called him a couple more times, and I texted him, nothing. So I called him from a different number, and he answered. And I said, hey, man, I go, I can't help you if you don't let me help you. And he eventually just hung up on me, and I never talked to him again. But I thought it was fascinating that maybe this thing was tied into that chest, mm-hmm. and the wood and something, I don't know. But I thought it was kind of odd, and I never got to. I think he was embarrassed. I think if I would have, because I told him I had to come out to the base, and mm-hmm. he'd had to let me on base. So he probably would have got ridiculed.
You'd have to probably go through a lot of red tape to get you to come out there.
So, but he said that he didn't have anybody else with him at the time, which I don't know how true that was, but
unfortunately, I would think that my first question, of course, would be what his mental health state.
Right.
I was going to say, if he's coming back from deployment or anything like that, where's his mind at? That's a great question.
I mean, even before that, I mean, he could have, not necessarily, I can speak from my own personal experience with post-traumatic stress. You mm-hmm. do hallucinate.
Oh, yeah.
And, even apart from that, it could have forms of schizophrenia and things like that because, I mean, is this something that he sees often, or was it just that one time?
Yeah, I never got that far.
Because what he says, it's creepy, but I mean, it's not that uncommon to hear that in horror movies and things like that. I can think of countless ones. I mean, just The Exorcist, where they claim, say that very line. I mean, it's from the Bible.
Yeah.
We are many.
Yeah. Mark 5.
Yeah.
Well,
verse 9.
Yeah, I can say from personal experience that I've had a spirit follow me. And again, when I was a kid, we used to go to Graham, Texas, for our family reunions. And my aunt out there, she had a ghost she called Homer. And I mean, she lived with this thing for a long time. And it never bothered her. It wasn't dangerous. It wasn't, it didn't hurt nobody. It just kind of messed with stuff. And it played one particular song on the radio. And so when we got back one time, because we'd been out there numerous times, when we got back from there, we started noticing things happening in our house that were similar to the ones that were happening in my Aunt Jackie's house with this ghost Homer. And we deduced the fact that this spirit followed us here because we asked it, "Do you like music?" And it played the song.
How did it play it?
So it played it through our radio.
Radio just cut off?
Through our boombox.
Radio just cut off?
Yeah, boom. No, it was on. The radio was on, but it went straight to that song.
Oh, I see.
So
that's a lot of power.
Yeah, it's a ton of power. And as a kid, I'm like half freaked out, half amazed by it.
I feel like
so.
If you want to give him the possibility, I mean, I think things like that probably happen a lot more than we think.
Yeah.
People that we're close for, or what have you, that kind of are just kind of in the background. We might not ever notice.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do let themselves be seen.
But I don't know if my story was residual, but I don't know.
It's hard to say because that's with that information.
Yeah.
He just has that one story.
I was going to say that's very little information to go on. And I mean, if it was because of this chest, if this chest is haunted or something along with this chest attached to it, it could be residual to that chest.
Yeah.
It could be that chest is what carries the energy.
Also, military bases like that have how many people come through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old that house is probably from the World War II era.
Did you mention where he was stationed?
Killeen.
Oh, that's Fort Hood.
Yeah.
That's the biggest military installation in the known world. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it's so hard to go off of just that little information, but
it would make sense to me that places like that would have a lot of energy because there's so many people in and out, and there's so much. I mean, they reuse for years and years and years for those houses, and the type of struggle that those people have gone through.
I mean, I really tried to reach out to this guy, and I tried to help him, but he didn't want the help. After he reached out to me, he seemed kind of desperate and in despair.
There's a lot of PTSD that goes on in those areas, and I've worked with several soldiers with PTSD. I've gone through my ordeal with it, and it's very powerful. And again, we've talked about how they prey on the powerless. Mm-hmm. Spirits prey on those who are not thinking clearly.
They're open to it.
They're open to it. And when you're in that state, when you're going through, especially when you've had a seriously just traumatizing event that's happened in your life, they are going to jump all over that, and they're going to make you, they're going to make you see that over and over and over in your mind, and it's going to drive you crazy. And I mean, I've been there, and I've worked with many people that have been there, and it's serious. So, you know, who knows where this guy's state of mind is? And I can say because he just flat stopped talking to you. Maybe that's because he wasn't in a stable spot at that moment. You know, maybe he was. I don't know. I can't say anything because I don't have enough information.
And also it might not have meant to be malevolent.
Yeah.
Because it appeared dark and there was no. I mean, maybe that's just the only way it can manifest.
Yeah. Maybe not enough energy in that house.
Yeah.
Of course, you see somebody that you don't know in your house, regardless. If it's a person, it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
If it's a faceless shadow that speaks to you, but it could that is just how it appeared, and it couldn't help it. It's not that it meant it to be malevolent. It just that's going to be scary regardless of how it appeared. It could look like an angel, and it still would have scared the shit out of you because it's like, why are you in my house?
Exactly. What are you What are you doing here? And why are you telling me you're one of many? So
because I mean that's going to be our first reaction to anything we don't understand is fear because that's survival instinct.
Yeah. Well, that knee jerk reaction is that's not right because it's not right. So, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and I can tell you this: if it was. There's a lot of energy on military installations. There's a ton of energy floating around the whole base, everywhere, especially in the housing developments because they're all like duplexes or they're all like townhomes.
Stress.
So,
all kinds of
I mean, all kinds of. It's just. I mean, there's a lot of energy on military installations. So, man, there's just. Really cool story. Yeah. I'd love to dig into it more and learn about it. But man, maybe this box. I love how you said not enough energy because if this box is supposed to be in one place, it might have more energy in the place that it's supposed to be. But you take it away from that place, you take it away from that place, and it's not going to have that much energy, but it still has enough to manifest this mist or whatever it was. But here's my thing: there has to be. This thing put out a full sentence.
Yeah.
A full sentence.
Yeah.
And for anything to put out a full sentence, there's got to be massive amounts of energy for it to produce that kind of vocalization.
And maybe that's why it couldn't manifest any further is because it was concentrating on what it was trying to say.
Yeah. It's concentrated more on his message, more on its message than it is its appearance.
I never thought of that, but that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good point. FYI, I'm messaging Tanya that we're talking about residual hauntings right now. And she's responding.
So, any time, any kind of vocalization, that's a ton of energy. And for him to hear it, because I'll tell you, most of the time when you hear, you have to go back and listen to it again to make out what it's saying.
Yeah.
You have to go back to the recording and listen to it again before you can truly understand, because you'll hear it, but most of the time it's so quick or it's so faint that you can't hear it. Now, for this guy to hear that clearly, that's a ton of energy.
Yeah, and that's why, unfortunately, I kind of feel like it might have been just in his own mind.
Yeah. That I mean, that's a good point, because I mean, I know with soldiers, like to this day, I will go around and I will look at the tops of every building that I'm around, everywhere that I go. I will scan the tops of them all the way down to the bottom. I will make sure that I know my entrances and my exits everywhere I go. I asked to be changed at this table, and I know I'm safe here, but I asked when we got this new table to sit facing the door because I can't stand having my back to the door.
Back to the door, yeah.
At work, I asked for my back to be to the wall, for my face to be facing the door. So in that instance, it's, you know, those are things that are there because of the incidents that's happened to me,
right,
in my life. I can't get away from that.
Yeah.
And like Ash said, without any more information, without any more, it could be that this guy is just manifesting this in his own mind.
Could be.
and he is, because to hear something that clear, it's very, very, very seldom that you get something that clear.
Yeah.
Audibly like that. Just naked ear.
So
I mean, in my own, obviously, I've never had combat, but I have post-traumatic stress, and a lot of times that's what I see. I see shadow figures.
Yeah.
Just out of the corner of my eye, because that's what my brain is saying. It's like there's someone over there, when it's just a regular shadow, or it's like just something else, an amorphous figure or whatever. But that's what my head sees constantly. I think I've seen shadows out the corner of my eye. I
think in theory, the corneas of your eyes, the corners of it, are open to ultraviolet more than the front of your eyes.
That makes sense.
So. And you made the comment, Ash, that you haven't seen combat. By no means, you do not have to see combat to have PTSD.
Absolutely not. I was in an abusive relationship.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
4 years, and
there's many people. I think there's more people out there that don't know they have PTSD, that do have PTSD.
And even when you're diagnosed with it, just going in, and just watching videos and stuff, and that's something that one of my best friends, she's going through therapy for that too, and to identify these things and these manifestations and the things that can cause it, and how it because you can, especially when you're a child in that sort of environment, and the way that your brain develops and the way you react to things, you don't realize it, and then suddenly whenever it's spelled out to you, it's just like, wow, everything makes sense now.
Well, it's like you have a puzzle, and these pieces of these puzzle are sitting in front of you, and you remember some of them, and you're like, okay, that one goes there, and that one goes there, but when that trauma happens, that part of the puzzle is like, it might be flipped around, it might be put way over here, it might be scrambled or whatever, and then when you have that wow moment, you're like, whoa, okay, so now the puzzle starts getting put back together, but when the puzzle gets put back together, it's not exactly, it might not be exactly how you remember it, it might not be exactly how you felt or whatever, but it's still there.
And there's a lot of repression that you don't even think about. I mean, like mundane, nothing like, I go back and look at my old statuses or something. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't remember any of these days at all. There's like a 4 or 5 year period, and a lot of it was the medication I was on and whatever. But it's like your brain, it's like it's survival. It represses it. It puts it away.
And you're like, that was me.
And then sometimes it just comes back up.
Boom. Yeah.
Like it's happening right in front of you.
And that's so many people out there, they think that you have to be in combat or you have to be a soldier.
And they ridicule the shit out of you. And I don't like to hide things like that, because I want people to know this. Like, it's not something. It's just the shit that people have said to me. It's just like, no offense to anybody, male or anything, but usually these, ones that gotta puff it up and like, I'm in this, and I'm a roughneck and badass, and I'm in the military, and they've never actually interacted with people that have that trauma, because honestly, the best person that helped me through it was my friend that was airborne and has experience.
Because you can relate.
Exactly.
You can relate.
And it's like, I just don't understand that people that are in that field that talk to other people like that. It's like, do you not talk to your fellow soldier?
I will say this, and anybody that puts on a uniform, thank you for your service for putting it on.
Absolutely.
But there are some out there, and from my experience, the ones that brag about it the most have seen the less.
Yes.
Have seen the least.
Yes. It always works that way.
It always works that way. They brag and brag and brag. I've done this and I've done that. No. They've done nothing. And by no means am I trying to say negative about the military.
Yeah,
I've served 10 years, but I've seen it firsthand.
Right.
And
I mean,
if you brag about it and you put other
of just like in our law enforcement or firefighters, it attracts that personality type.
Exactly. And that could be in anything.
Yeah.
You know, anything. The dog that barks the loudest,
right,
is usually the one that does the least. So,
I mean, I'm not talking about military, but that's probably a correct hitter there.
Well, I was going to say that's in anything. You know, if you
douchebags that don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
If you're carrying an autographed picture around of yourself, I mean,
in penny loafers.
Come on now. So, but I'm just, and here's the thought too. A haunting in your life can be a traumatic experience,
right,
to induce post-traumatic stress.
Right. Yep.
You can get post-traumatic stress from a haunting in your life. Because as a child, as an adult, we are all afraid. We are all scared. And if something shocks us enough to traumatize us, you have PTS.
Right.
And maybe some residual hauntings are from... I'm just coming up with this right now. I mean, I'm just thinking of this in my head right now. Maybe that's
like,
after that story.
Yeah, after that story.
Only good example, of course, is in the movie is that the American Haunting. It's kind of like that, where it's like, you know, kind of half poltergeist, where it was the girl was the one creating the haunting because it was her energy, you know, it was a pubescent girl, and this thing, you know, not to give away this movie, but this traumatic thing happened to her, and it created a manifestation of a poltergeist-like activity, which would be kind of the same, a little bit of the same thing, you know, an imprinting of energy, and you know, so kind of in that thought, you know, poltergeist-like activity of that nature, and residuals are kind of, you know, it's all energy. It's not actually a ghost. Yeah. It's just your energy is manifesting and doing these things.
Yeah.
So kind of like telekinetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
and talk about schizophrenic. You know, a schizophrenic cannot tell the difference between reality and what's not reality. They can't,
especially if they are not diagnosed. Yeah. I mean, people. I've known people that have schizophrenia, but you know, it takes a while before they can identify, just like with any other mental health thing, identify the markers of it, of what is real and what is not, and what...
Depression. Depression will do the same thing. Yep. You do not think rationally when you're depressed.
Not. You know, I've been in that state before where it's just like, how I describe it, it feels like you're inside your body watching yourself do these things.
Yeah. And you know, talking about this, that's what makes ghost sightings and paranormal activity, that's what makes it so skeptical. Because there's so many drugs out there, there's so many, you know...
Your brain does a lot.
Your brain is so powerful, and it's so crazy that it can... You can make yourself see all kinds of crap. You can make yourself believe all kinds of crap.
You're trying to rationalize it, and it comes down to survival. It's like... I think I've mentioned it before about how, you know, with like alien sightings, it's all big eyes, and you know, just that is our infant brain because it's told look for big eyes and a face thing because that's food. Yeah. So our brain automatically is. I mean, you can look at anything. Let's look at the wood grain. You can find a face in it. Yeah. That's survival instinct, and then also for us to see Jesus on a toast, you know, our brain is programmed to see people
or Yoda on a bagel.
Yeah, whatever. It's survival instinct for us to see whatever as a thing that we know what it is. Right. To react, and it is, you know, the monster in the dark. Okay, we are told to see that in our primitive brain. Because the monster in the dark is going to eat you. Yeah. So you need to...
And to make sense of it. You know, to make sense of what we're seeing and to make it to where it's not... Like you said, survival instinct. To make it to where it's not scary or it's not, you know, traumatizing to us. But when we can't explain it and we can't...
And then it's scary.
And then it goes to being scary. And then it goes to being traumatizing. And then it goes to being into all this other stuff. And then people are like, oh, you were just drunk. Or, oh, you were just high. Or, oh, you were just stressed or whatever.
Even if you were, I mean, that was real to you.
Exactly.
And your brain doesn't know the difference. Yeah. And it's going to wire it. And it's going to create that in your head that this is still a wound. Yeah. You know.
And
it's still there,
and it still happened to me.
Yeah.
Whether it really happened,
right,
and anybody else saw it, it still happened to me.
Right.
It's still a personal. It infected me in a personal way. So, therefore, to me, it really happened.
I think in the past, I'm not sure if I talked to you guys about this, but I actually had to turn down an investigation in Hugo because the guy that was claiming all these claims, he was saying that there was a witch in town that was trying to kill him for his money.
Yeah.
And that she was throwing acorns onto his porch, and he had like some kind of Native American writing like on his floor, and that the sheriff was a shift changer.
Goodness.
He was telling me, he was shapeshifter. Sorry, yeah. And he was saying all this stuff, and I told him, I said, I'm gonna need you to go get checked out before I go out there.
Absolutely.
I go because some of this stuff that you're talking about it's kind of wild, and it's not. I said it's not something that somebody would say. I mean, I was looking for paranormal stuff. And you're talking about witches and shapeshifters.
Paranoid delusion.
Yeah, so I told him that he needed to go get help, and then I go, once you have a clear bill of health, then I'll go out there and do an investigation. Right. And I never heard back from that guy.
Well, yeah, he probably thinks that you're just another. No, you're really trying to help him.
And at that point, it would be a safety issue. I think because if he thinks that a witch and the sheriff are monsters and they're coming after you, then how long does it take before this person in my house is talking to the devil and I need to lock him in my basement?
Yeah, and I don't want you locked in anybody's basement.
No, I don't want to.
So, but how long is it going to take for him to see you as trying to attack him?
Right.
And see you as he's not really here to help me. He's just one of them. They sent him in here. I mean,
yeah.
Schizophrenia is a wild thing.
We're a minute and 36 seconds in. Hey, on a quick note, I know this is probably something for another show, but Tanya is messaging me right now about the YouTube Heller stuff. The Heller stuff that Tim.
Oh yeah, that Tim sent us.
Yeah. A good buddy of ours sent us a video on a series on YouTube.
Oh, the Hollow Earth stuff.
Yeah. So he sent it to us because he believes it's tied into Brown Springs, and she just mentioned it to me right now. While she's
very cool.
Yeah, and I mean that can go a lot of roads. There's a lot of stuff that a lot of ancient aliens and different kinds of different creatures and
Yeah.
Well, I think I go back. He's talking about caves and possibly being connected to Brown Springs. Well, it was connected to the mob. That area is connected to the mob.
Yeah.
Totally feasible.
Yeah.
Well, I was just kind of thinking, good minds think alike because we're all thinking.
Yeah, we're all thinking the same thing. We're all on. Yeah.
Tim sent us this YouTube link to look at to review because he thought it was tied into Brown Springs, and then now she's mentioned it to me now. So
it's Godzilla.
My son loves Godzilla.
I'm related to the most top Godzilla expert in the world. Probably my nephew Tyler. Yeah.
Shout out to you, Tyler.
Awesome.
To the great and mighty Titan
Tyler.
TYTAN. Titan.
So you guys, I know we could go on forever about the subject, but you guys ready to switch?
I just wanted to say something out real quick to the listeners. If you are or think that you might have PTSD or things are happening, please reach out to somebody.
Absolutely.
Please go get help.
Good point.
It's no different. I've always said, I say that I'm a therapy slut and pusher, but I look at it as, when you have a cold, you go to the doctor.
Exactly. Yeah. There are minds. There are doctors for your mind.
Yeah, I think everybody should go. I'm not in heavy I used to go once, twice, several times a week. Sometimes
absolutely
every day for a while when it was bad. There's no shame in it. Everyone has their own journeys, but I think that everyone should go in. I call it get a little tweak every now and again.
Absolutely.
Just to make sure everything's on kilter because sometimes things get rough.
I love that you said if you get sick, you go to the doctor. If you have a runny nose, you take medicine. If you have a cough, you take medicine. man, your mind and your mental state is far more important than your physical state.
Yeah.
Go, please, please, please. Don't put it off.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in combat to have PTS. Please, please, please don't be afraid. Go out and get help and get your mind right. This is the whole point of our podcast is to help people to I know we're not therapists and we
right.
But, you know,
to enlighten them,
go get help.
You've just been there, man.
Yeah,
you know, it took a long time.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it, but you know.
Well, all three of us at this table at some point in our life have been through depression,
anxiety,
have been through anxiety, have been through something, and the only way we got out of it was to get help.
Get help.
Yeah.
To go get help from somebody. So please, 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 if you think that you have it, or if you're going through it, if you know you have it, whatever it is, please go get help. I had to say that before we go on.
Awesome. I love that. That's awesome. Okay, we're gonna switch subjects now. You guys ready for some wrestling?
Let's do it. I wish I could see the look on Ash's face.
I don't even know what looks on my face. I'm just waiting to talk.
Yeah, she's just sitting there like, Robert and I are all banging our heads and like jamming to the music, and Ash is just sitting there like, okay.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to need you guys to talk about wrestling because I'm going to...
Yeah, you're going to make pit stop. All right.
We should have took potty breaks before.
I know, we didn't. Well, we kind of been sipping through the middle of the show, so that...
As you do.
That doesn't help. So wrestling. You got any wrestling news, Ash?
I don't know about news. Maybe some olds. I don't know. On the YouTube. So I was watching some Jake the Snake stuff earlier.
Oh, nice.
Nice, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. He was talking about his journey to sobriety, and I don't know if you've watched his the documentary.
I haven't.
It's really good. The resurrection of Jake the Snake. That Paige did for that, and I think this came out not too long after that. But I haven't watched this interview yet, so I was kind of listening to that before you guys came over.
Yeah, I'm all about good stories. I love hearing good stories, and I love hearing the stories about, because here's the thing, I think we put this stigma on famous people or rich people or people that are in entertainment.
Don't have any problems.
Exactly, that they're untouchable bullshit. And they're, you know, but there's so many of them out there that struggle with. I mean, I take one of the biggest ones I use is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was in the limelight from the time he was 6 years old to the time he died.
He didn't have a grasp on reality.
Yeah. So when I hear stories about, and Jake the Snake was he was huge in wrestling. He was a big time draw. He was a big time wrestler. So when I hear stories about that and they come out on the other end of it, I love that. I love that.
Yeah. He had, he started to talk about, he had a really, really rough childhood.
Yeah.
A lot of trauma, and that's where, and that's unfortunately a lot of people in that line, the tough guys and stuff come from that. One person that I really admire now is Mike Tyson. I don't know if you've ever listened to his podcast and stuff, but he has had a spiritual awakening where he's like, I don't even want to be around anymore because I don't want to be that person anymore. But it's because he was brought up that was who you were.
He made his life beating people up.
And even before that, it's like either you fought and you survived, or you were weak and you weren't a man.
Yeah.
And you were punished for it.
And I love that, because I'm a big boxing fan, I'm a big MMA fan, I'm a big wrestling fan, and I love that Mike Tyson was born to be a fighter. Period. He was born to fight. But he found a way to take it and make it something better than just fighting on the street or something like that. He still went through his struggles and his, I don't know, everybody knows that Mike Tyson went to prison for what he did, but all that good stuff. He beat people up outside the ring and all that stuff, but he did. He found his peace. Yeah,
and he had a lot of mental health problems, a lot of problems with drugs and things like that. But, in the last few years, again, experimenting with, he did some heavy hallucinogens. Yeah. And it just brought him to a spiritual awakening. Yeah. And it's really admirable. And I liked
to listen, he gets a lot of people like Danny Trejo and other older fighters or tough guys, or like Mickey Rourke was one that I really like, that they talk about stuff. It's just like where they found, as a older men, found their peace finally. Yeah, and it's not living in that life anymore.
Yeah, well, we all know Mickey Rourke went through his. Robert Downey Jr. is another one. Yeah, man, he, they all went through their stuff, and I think we mentioned on here the movie The Wrestler. One of Mickey Rourke's, man, one of Mickey Rourke's best movies he's ever done. It was a fantastic movie, but it was about that same thing. It was about a wrestler that man just couldn't escape what he was going, and he tried to, but his piece was in the ring, and he died in the ring. But I'm glad to hear Jake the Snake coming out on the good end of it, and
I really like that these guys are being so open about that too, because they are people that maybe not kids now, but kids from my generation is that they looked up to, that probably went through the same bullshit that they did, and weren't allowed to feel their pain and not allowed to deal with it properly, and them opening about that. It's like, hey, if Jake the Snake and Mike Tyson can be like, it's okay to have feelings and to be an emotional and still be a man, then that's amazing.
That's called peer support. They're looking at this guy and thinking, man, this guy was untouchable. Yeah. This guy was like the baddest of the bad.
But inside he
was torn, man. He was just so ripped up, and I love that you say just a little boy, and he was using that as a facade for what's really going on, and that's what a lot of them do. So
he started here locally.
Yeah.
Started here locally in NWA, and then afterwards World Class Championship Wrestling. Yeah. So he started here locally. So I remember growing up watching him a lot. So
yeah, I grew up on Jake the Snake. He was so cool. Anybody that comes out with a freaking snake is cool to me. Yeah. But you just. I love hearing those stories that where they come out on top and do good and like you said, have the courage to be that soundboard for the ones that are struggling now and might not have the courage to come out. Right. Hey, Jake the Snake has the courage to come out. Mike Tyson has the courage to come out. I can do it too, and maybe not come out publicly with it, but just help them to find their peace. Yeah. So I heard you mention NWA.
You what?
I heard you mention NWA.
Yeah, actually, this last 2 days I've been behind on all my wrestling, so I watched Impact today. I watched Impact, SmackDown, and I actually finished AEW. And then I had time, so I watched NWA Power or the Power show, and it's mostly on YouTube. But I saw it off that link that I.
And did you see Mr. Anderson?
That scared me.
Sorry, I scared you twice this.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson's on there. Mike, I can't pronounce his last name. Atlas used to be Maximus.
Yeah, Maximus
on TNA.
Bram was on there.
Bram, James Storm. Yeah. Eli Drake. He goes by Aaron Stevens, but he was Damian Sandow. WWE. So yeah,
you said the Rock and Roll Express.
The Rock and Roll Express.
The Rock and Roll Express.
The episode I watched today, they won the tag team titles against Bram and this other guy.
They won the tag team titles. Yep. Aren't they like 90 years old?
They're like in their 60s.
Yeah, they gotta be.
Man,
that's like Sabu.
They're still going off the top rope too.
Man, that's crazy to me. That's Randy the Ram right there.
Yeah,
they're gonna hit the canvas and be
slow motion. Yeah, black.
Yeah, that's their piece. They can't find it anywhere else, so they just keep kicking it in the ring. So
Jim Cornette was one of the commentators, but I think he made like a racial slur.
I saw that. I was actually going to talk about that later.
So I think Stu Barnett is taking over. Bad News Barrett.
Okay, yeah.
He's going to be taking over. So I don't know.
Bad news.
I've got some bad news for you. But yeah, I watched that today, which was actually, it was pretty decent.
Didn't he won King of the Ring at one point, didn't he?
He what? Yeah,
he won King of the Ring.
He did win King of the Ring. So
I think that's his like claim to fame.
Yeah.
But he's taken over as the announcer,
as a commentator.
As a commentator.
Yeah, there's some other guy, I don't know who he is, and I think it's run by Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, he's huge. He was running TNA for a while.
I thought he was involved with TNA.
Yeah, he was running TNA, and I think whenever
I feel like I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I remember he was in TNA.
He took over after Dixie Carter.
Dixie Carter, yeah.
And then it was short, maybe like 6 months in, and they released him.
Yeah.
So, and then, but he's running NWA right now. And they have the whole like 1980s feel to it. There's like a ring, and there's like a little set on the side where they do interviews. And there's a little platform you can step on.
That's so awesome.
And there's a curtain.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
But there's like only one side of fans. So that's it.
No.
Well, that's that's how TNA got. I told you I went to oh man, what's it called? Slammiversary.
Slammiversary.
I wanted to say SummerSlam, but it was Slammiversary, and we barely filled up half that place, man.
Yeah.
And that's a college.
Yeah,
that's a college basketball
coliseum.
Yeah. So, but it was a good time.
Yeah.
But the reason why I said Mr. Anderson like that is because, man, I was the biggest Mr. Anderson fan. I love that guy.
I mean, it looks pretty decent. They don't have a whole lot of roster. They don't have a whole lot of members on the roster, but there's Colt Cabana Colt Cabana's known. He was on Ring of Honor. He's one of CM Punk's best friends. And they kind of came up together. He's their national champion. It looks like a United States belt, but it's like the country United States.
Okay.
And then there's the
America?
old, like America,
like America. So is it the picture like you see on the map?
Yeah. It's like it's that. And
like,
so
America,
United States.
Yeah, United States, USA,
like USA,
like
North America. No.
Like, is it just the continental United States, or do you have Hawaii on there?
No,
it's just the continental.
Just the lower 48.
Yeah. So it's that, and then they got the old, NWA Mike Adalis. Adalis is his name. Maximus. He's the NWA champion. So, but it was actually pretty decent.
Man, I'm gonna have to check that out if Mr. Anderson's over there, just for Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, you like James Storm too.
Yeah, I like James Storm. Yeah.
So. You want to talk about WWE releases?
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to go on. I know two of them, and you brought up another one.
Connor and Victor.
Yeah,
the Ascension.
The Ascension
was released today too.
Now I know that and their names are I mean, I'm blanking on their names. Sin Cara and
Luke Harper.
Luke Harper, thank you. Sin Cara and Luke Harper asked for their releases, and WWE said, okay, you can be released. Do you know if the Ascension asked for their releases, or were they just released?
It says here. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Also, Mike Kanellis got released too.
Wow.
So it says here, WWE has comes to terms of release with Jonathan Huber, Luke Harper, Sin Cara, Ryan.
Those are because when it says come to terms,
yeah.
And I think in one of the articles it actually mentions that Sin Cara and Luke Harper asked for their releases, but I didn't know about the Ascension.
The Ryan Parmeter and Eric Thompson Victor, Connor Victor didn't say they were asked to be released. They just said they came to terms with it.
Well, either way, what I think of when I hear this is exactly what we've been talking about on pretty much every episode of our podcast is they're just oversaturated with talent. And the ones that need to be pushed aren't being pushed. Now, here's my thing. The Ascension, I thought, could have been gone a long time ago. I never thought they were that good. I never thought they were that big of a draw. Luke Harper, I love that guy.
Yeah.
Sin Cara, I love that guy.
Luke Harper got one push.
One.
And he
he kind of got two. with the Wyatt family. Mm-hmm. He was being pushed there, and then him and Rowan were the Bludgeon Brothers.
Well, I meant like single wise.
You're talking about by himself.
He got one push. He got one push. I think he was wrestling Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
and he couldn't beat Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
So
I don't think he's on Daniel Bryan's level. Honestly, I don't.
For his size, he's pretty good.
He is good, but he's not Daniel Bryan on that level. He's a good wrestler. I love him. I thought he was a great talent. And I love the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah.
And I love those guys. They were awesome.
I just didn't like their outfits. It looked like they were trying to dress like Deadpool.
Well,
yeah, these two wrestlers, they were
the Bludgeon Brothers. They were huge.
They carried these big hammers, and they were wearing red, and they looked like Deadpools.
Well, I thought they looked like
Deadpools, Dead Pies.
I thought they looked like
Deadpoolies.
They looked like they were trying to be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah,
like butchers.
Yeah,
that's what I thought they were going after.
Yeah, butcher.
I think one of them got hurt.
Butcher, Deadpool,
whatever. Yeah.
So
I think one of them got hurt, and they had the.
Well, that's why the Bludgeon Brothers kind of they weren't a thing anymore. But I think this goes. I mean, I think it echoes what we've been saying. Is man, they got so much talent over there, and they have so many wrestlers that are just sitting there doing nothing.
Yeah.
That hey, now people are starting to come and say, hey, I want to be gone. You know, I want to go somewhere where I can do something. Mm-hmm. Well, I know they have every one of them have a 90-day. When you sign with WWE, you have a 90-day no compete clause whenever you leave the company. So they have to wait at least 90 days before they can go do anything. But you're gonna see Sin Cara and Luke Harper wrestling somewhere.
Man, Sin Cara. I mean, this is like not the original Sin Cara.
Oh, no, it's not the original Sin Cara.
But this guy, he's super strong.
Yeah,
and he's so talented.
Yeah,
he was being wasted.
Wasted. And my son Kylan loved Sin Cara.
Yeah,
and when they were pushing him, man, Kylan was all about wrestling. Man, I want to see Sin Cara. And then they stopped, and he's just kind of like, you know. Yeah. He's such a good talent that they're wasting him. So.
They were posting this week also that John Morrison signed a multi-year deal with WWE, but he's yet to come on any show. I think he's gonna wait till TLC to come out. Because if it were me, because The Miz is supposed to have a match with The Fiend on TLC. Mm-hmm. If they were me, I would bring John Morrison out to help The Miz with The Fiend, because you know they were a tag title. They started as a tag title together.
Yeah.
Before I think he was Johnny.
But wouldn't you do it before TLC?
If you want a pop, I would do it at TLC.
Ah, man, I hate that.
That's just me.
I hate that.
But he was Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
Before he was John Morrison. So
Flame on.
Yeah.
Flame on.
So
he became Captain America.
But I did want to mention I was watching AEW this week, and
oh yeah,
Jericho was doing a promo.
Hey, before you say this, I'm taking full credit, 100%. This was all me. Go.
Okay, Jericho was doing this thing where he pulls out, when he was with WWE, he had this list. The list.
Yeah, the list.
You know what happens when you just made the list.
Yeah.
So he used to do that. So he pulls out this list, and the crowd goes wild, and he tells them, "Don't get too excited. It's not that. It's not that gimmick. It's the lexicon of Le Champion." So he was.
I love Chris Jericho.
So funny.
He was doing a list of wrestlers he's not gonna because I think he was saying he was contractually obligated to wrestle one more time before the end of the year, and he said these are wrestlers I'm not gonna wrestle. So he was saying stuff like the Young Bucks, John Moxley, the Young Bucks, the Old Bucks, the Five Bucks, John Moxley. I'm not gonna fight Joe Janela. I'm not gonna fight Kenny Omega, and then he said Kenny Ortega. So as soon as I got that, I messaged Chris right away. I go, Jericho just said Kenny Ortega. So
I was doing Christmas with Brit's granny and papa. So I was sitting there and we were watching the Oklahoma Baylor game.
yeah,
Or we might have been watching the other game. We were watching one of the football games. And I pull out my phone and I get this and I'm like, what? I was like, you're serious? And I texted back, are you serious? He said that for real? And then, yeah, I went back and I watched it. And sure enough, he said Kenny Ortega.
yeah.
I was like, man, I got to take full responsibility for that.
For the record, AEW beat NXT again.
I know they lost like 2 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row of Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And but I think they won it by 6,000 viewers, which was narrow, but still they beat them.
Yeah.
Win's a win.
Yeah, win's a win. So, but I watched a lot of wrestling this week, a lot of it.
What do you think about Nikki Bella coming back?
I think wrestling's passed her by, to be honest with you.
You think so?
Yeah, because the last match she had, who did she hurt? She hurt somebody.
I don't remember.
She was wrestling, I want to say, the Iconics. It was a 3-way, and I think because like you could tell all her timing's off, and she needs somebody in the face like really bad and knock them out. Really? Yeah, she knocked. This was like maybe 6-7 months ago.
That's about the time I went on my WWE.
Yeah. But
I think I remember hearing something about.
So she needs someone right in the nose and knock them out, and then she needed them to tag out. So she dragged this girl. I can't remember who it was. She dragged the girl over so they can tag out. And so I think after that she quit because I think she had like consecutive matches on Raw, like back to back weeks. After that, no more. So I think it's it's all about them, and I don't think they put the time in to wrestle because you can tell like when like even though I don't like Sasha Banks. I don't like her at all, but she's got good timing with people.
She's good at her craft.
Yeah, she's good.
She's a good wrestler.
Yeah, Bailey, and you can tell all the girls they work with each other. Whenever the Bellas wrestle, they don't time out well with anybody, and it shows.
I've never thought that they were good wrestlers.
When they were really young, they were, but not anymore. So I think they're too busy with the divas in their own show, which is okay. They can do that. I don't fault them for it. More power to them. Just stay out of the damn ring.
Well, I think WWE will gain for bringing them back, and I'll tell you why. Well, at least Nikki, because she's a huge draw.
Yeah,
she's a Brock Lesnar. Now, I'm not saying she's as talented as Brock Lesnar.
But yeah, the name.
But the name is like Brock Lesnar. Yeah. She's a huge draw. People love the Bellas.
They do.
So she may come back, but I don't think she is going to come back and do as much ring work as she used to. Now, she might be one of those that if I'm coming back, I'm going to do the ring work. She might be.
Yeah.
But I know she has a lot of pull because she draws.
She does.
She's money.
She's not, she ain't going to beat Becky Lynch.
No, she's not going to beat any of them.
She's not going to,
But she's still going to draw money.
She may beat Bailey. She's not going to beat Charlotte.
No.
So.
She'll beat Sasha.
Yeah.
But she's not. If they have her come back and beat Charlotte or Becky, I'll be even more pissed off at WWE. Yeah. But I'm already pissed off at them. So
I was watching Impact today, and I was watching the Gauntlet match, and it was Moose started out with I can't think of the guy's name.
Humongous mammal.
He's a big dude.
He's huge.
He's fighting. I can't think of the guy's name. He's a Spanish guy, Spanish wrestler, and he beat him. And then Rick Swan came out, and he beat the Moose, and then he beat Michael England, and then
Rick Swan beat both of them.
Yeah,
heck yeah, man.
And that's so awesome. Brian Cage came out.
Yeah,
he beat Rick Swan, and then Tessa Blanchard came out.
This is I saw it. Rick Swan had to have been obviously he was gone because I saw when Tessa came out.
Yeah.
Tessa beat both
Yeah.
England and...
Well, England already lost. England already lost.
No, who was it? She beat Cage?
She beat Cage.
That's all she beat.
Yeah.
That's the only one she beat, because Cage is the one that...
Right.
He was the second to the last one. She was the last one in.
Yeah, and so she's going to face Sami Callihan in the next pay-per-view.
I can't stand that guy.
I can't either. So I can't remember the last time... Did Impact or TNA ever have a women's fight for the men's title?
Not that I remember.
Right.
Not to fight for the men's title or for the overall title.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Maybe China. I don't remember if she ever did or not. I'm almost positive that she didn't win if she ever did. And what was the... Oh, man, what was the one before China?
I couldn't even tell you.
Come on, what's her... She just got inducted into the Hall of Fame like a couple of years ago. Oh, dang, I can't remember her name. But anyway, she just got inducted into the Hall of Fame like a couple of years ago. If it would have been any of them, it would have been it'd have been one of them. But I don't remember.
I was going to tell you also, ODB came back.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So, where did he came back to
Impact?
Impact. Yeah.
So she came back. I think she had like a food truck or something, and it burned down. So she's coming down. So she came out to like ask for donations to help her bring the food truck back.
Really?
And Taya Valkyrie came out and interrupted her. And so she slapped her. So they had a match. And so...
Of course.
And she actually beat her.
Really?
Yeah, ODB pinned her. So
wow.
She was grabbing her boobs a lot, though.
Well...
That's what she used to do,
That's what that was her thing.
Yeah.
That was her stitch, is she liked to grab boobs.
Who doesn't? They're fun.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask you if she still did that, if that's still part of her.
She had her little shirt on.
Yeah.
That had the skeleton hands.
Yeah. And she'd like slap her butt, and then she would show her front crotch a lot.
Yeah.
Her front crotch as
opposed to her back crotch.
Her front crotch. So she would pull up her little skirt to show her.
Camel toe.
Yeah.
So she.
Robert, do you know how a woman's anatomy works? They have their front crotch and their back crotch.
What was I supposed to say? Front crotch? That's what I said, front crotch. I said it! Sorry. So we're at 2 minutes and 7 seconds in.
2 minutes and 7 seconds.
So so we got any shout outs we want to do before we...
I shouted out before,
okay,
but I'll shout out as many times as I can to my wife and kids, because they're definitely, are some of our biggest supporters.
Yeah.
They back us 100%.
Simone,
catch a tone.
Ash.
So,
yeah, Mandy wanted me to shout her out some made-up nickname that nobody calls her, so I don't know.
Kind of like
Mandy Monday.
Manic Monday.
Mandy
just
Money.
Another Manic Monday.
Manic Monday.
Scared me, man.
That's 3 times, man.
Yeah.
That's 3 times.
Stop it.
It's kind of like C Money.
I would rather have that than any of them singing.
Yeah. Nobody calls.
My singing's so bad it scares Robert.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I got one shout out.
Oh yeah.
Ebes.
That's
Lauren.
actually 2.
Is it?
You shouted out before.
Did I really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it again.
Do it again.
Evie, this for you. I don't know why I do that.
I don't know if she's ever gonna listen. So.
Oh, I know those kids at Pizza Hut.
Oh yeah. Shout out to the Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut on 411 East Royal Lane
In Las Colinas. I'm sorry you had a really bad night. It seemed like pretty shit, but you came through.
They came through.
They took care of us.
They too sweet. They did. They hooked us up. They took care of us. So
Impressive. Most impressive.
Okay. All right.
All right, peeps. We love you. Keep listening. We have some pretty good stuff coming. So.
Oh yeah.
And we're out.